tell me, you've obviously taken a very keen interest in blockchain for the past, few years. What do you feel is the future of blockchain? What do you think is going to happen? What trends are going to happen? And how do you think this might impact the world at large?
Blockchain in itself is a very simple technology. It's an extremely simple technology, is a set of technologies. It's nothing new that Satoshi did. When Satoshi actually released his white paper on Bitcoin, when you analyze that from a technological standpoint of view, there is nothing new that he has done. He has taken up lots of pre-existing technologies, combined them together into one package, and that is named as blockchain. So all of this, I mean, if you see, there is very interesting graph. I'll share you after the call. Like there is 48 years of research and 48 years of work prior to blockchain, which actually led in the creation of Bitcoin and this technology. So Bitcoin in itself, it's just not a coin, it's a blockchain itself. So Bitcoin with a small b is the coin, Bitcoin with a capital B is the blockchain. So the Bitcoin, for example, Ethereum and Ether. So Ethereum is the blockchain, and Ether is the currency running on top of it. But Bitcoin, the blockchain and the coin both are the same.
What do you think is the future of blockchain? What do you anticipate?
Yeah. So when the technology actually came in, I mean, the reason why Satoshi created this was because he was frustrated with the financial crash down that happened in 2008, and he mentioned this in his first blog as well, the message, and he mentioned this in his white paper as well as why he created, in his blogs, in his writings, he has clearly mentioned that why he created blockchain. But when people started analyzing the technology behind it, this is where the creativity comes in, and this is where other blockchains started coming in. Vitalik, for example, in 2017, he realized that if we run smart contracts on top of a blockchain, there are a lot of other use cases and applications that can be built. So that is where he created Ethereum. So the basics of blockchain is very simple. Any blockchain in itself is a database, just like any other database, SQL, Hadoop, anything else. So in any database, there are 4 functions: CRUD, create, read, update, delete. In blockchain, you have create and you have read. You don't have update and delete. You cannot do this. So data once entered can never be changed or deleted. So this is the basic property of blockchain. So based on this, you can imagine immense amount of use cases. So every day, the innovation that we see is because of this creative thinking that comes across developers and solution architects who keep on thinking new use cases: supply chain, healthcare, pharmacy, agriculture, NFTs, everything. So these are the result of creative thinking, that people are coming up with ideas based on these fundamental properties of immutability and decentralization. So anything that needs trust, anything that needs frictionless transaction will use blockchain in the future. And this is regarding the technology. When we talk about the tokenization is taking the world by storm. Every new startup is thinking about tokenizing their assets in some form or the other, because it is easier for them to reach across borders, to reach across jurisdictions, because of the fundamental property of tokenization. So in 2019, A16Z and Andreessen Horowitz, they had this crypto school session, where Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, he took a class, and he said this, that in the next 10 years, every startup will have some aspect of crypto in them. And this is what we see today. Like, even if you see Saif I think he's exploring real estate tokenization, because it's easier to reach across a wider mass. Even in Marhaba, if you would have tried to raise funds within Australia, probably we would have been struggling for a year more. But because of the property of tokenization, we reached out to every corner of the world. So anyone from across the world participated in funding the project. So that's the beauty that the technology brings.
Marhaba has largely been created for Muslims to engage in decentralized finance. Why do you think it's important for Muslims to be engaged and to be involved in decentralized finance versus the current fiat system?
It's the same answer as anybody else, but with a level more. So yesterday, for example, last night, I was talking with one of the scholars, one of the very respected scholars, Sheikh Sajid Omar, and I was explaining him about what Marhaba is and what we are doing, and he was very happy with the message that we are trying to convey with the vision that we have. He said that, look, even if being a Muslim, you are not taking interest from the bank and you're keeping the funds there, and whatever interest is being accrued, you're taking it out, you're not using it, but still you are helping the banks by keeping your funds over there, because they have this treasury that they can reinvest. Even if you don't take the interest that they give you, but still you are helping them for all the riba-based activities because you're keeping your funds in the bank. So that's a different discussion to have in detail, whether Muslims can actually keep their funds in the bank or not. That's totally a scholarly discussion. There's a lot of debates. You don't want to go into that. But why he was so happy is that you are trying to give a method, a pathway to the Muslims where they can own their funds in the right way. For example, brother Omar Suleiman from Wahid Invest, I was talking to him. He's saying that this is the first time in the history of 500 years of Islamic finance that actually you can build a riba-free system. So this is something that we aim at. I have been saying this in all my community calls as well, that like people ask us, when do you think that Marhaba token will be $1? I said that I don't know. It might be next second, it might be 10 years later. I really don't know, and I will never know. And I'm not interested to know is that, because we are not a token-based project. We are not. We are trying to bring financial solutions onto the blockchain. The Marhaba token in itself, this one. So the Marhaba token in itself is what powers the system. That's it. If we have good products, good solutions that people need, people will use, this will push the value into the token. That's it. Yeah. There are a lot of extremely good projects that I am personally invested in, very good projects. But since the last almost 7-8 months, there is no fluctuation. The price is not going up. But does that mean that? And on the other hand, meme tokens, monkeys, donkeys, kangaroos. So these tokens are like truly mooning. I mean, it's a very common term in crypto, right? To the moon, because the amount of increase that they have, it's not possible in planet Earth. That's why they say to the moon. I have never heard in my schooling as well that there is something more than 100. But here we see it 1,000%, 4,000%, 66,000%. It's crazy. So that's actually fits the term to the moon, to the moon. You cannot have that in planet Earth.
Yeah.
But what is really important is about the project that we are building. Why it's important for the Muslims? Because I truly think that there is, and I believe, and I stand by this and I prove it as well, there is no other Sharia compliant, truly Sharia compliant DeFi solution out there. I mean it, and I can prove it, because we work with our internal Sharia scholars day in and day out. They are involved in everything that we do. They are monitoring everything that we do. And only then we are able to move ahead. If you have a Sharia advisor who is advising you on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis, where you just submit your documents and you submit your reports to him to audit and to give you a pass, it doesn't work. It works in traditional financial industry. It doesn't work in crypto. Everything needs to be monitored. And we see how much the Sharia scholars are involved with us. We are involving them on marketing, on contract discussions, contract creations, on ideation, everything. And I don't know if you know, we have a top-down approach in Marhaba. So it's the Sharia team who does the research, who comes up with a new product idea. Then they bring it to the technology team to see if it can be developed and it is technologically feasible. So this is the amount of work that's going on in the background, because we give a real healthy solutions, trustable solutions to the community. Why do they need it? Because we believe and we know, being an insiders of the industry, that the next era of finance and the next era of technology will be dominated by blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So we are trying to give safe solutions to the community for them to start using it.
So Naquib, I want to take a step back, because every entrepreneur has a story. Everyone has a background. Everyone has difficulties. I want you to start almost from the beginning, your childhood, and tell me a bit about your upbringing, your childhood. You know, where did everything start? You know, where were you raised? How was your upbringing?
Wow. Look, I am from a middle class family. My father, um, may Allah give him Jannah. He was a banker all his career, 28 years that he worked for. So I was born in the city of Cuttack in Orissa, in the eastern side of India, which Orissa is probably one of the most communal, free, and peaceful states in India. We don't know what are communal sentiments. We don't know what are religious differences. We don't know. We have never known about that. For us, we were always healthy and playful with everyone around us. I studied in one of the best schools of Orissa, Stuart School. Then I studied in one of the best university. I graduated from one of the best universities of India, KIIT University, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, in the field of information technology. So this is. I spent my entire childhood and my teenage life in Orissa.
And what did you, when you were younger, what did you imagine you'd be doing as a job?
Job, yeah. So when I was very young, I wanted to be a pilot. I still want to be a pilot. Probably my son will be a pilot. But yeah, when I started growing older, entrepreneurship always excited me. But you know, the Indian education system, or the usual education system in India, is they train you to be extremely good professionals. So I had this discussions multiple times with people around that people are so much happy and so much taking pride that Indians are everywhere across the globe. Like the Microsoft CEO is Indian, Google CEO is Indian, Mastercard CEO is Indian. Everywhere they're Indians, but they are employees. They are employees. Google is created by somebody else. Microsoft is created by somebody else. So entrepreneurship always excited me, but obviously I don't come from entrepreneur background. Nobody in my family is an entrepreneur. I am a first-time entrepreneur. I also have criticisms against that. Somebody wrote in a blog as well. How can you trust your money with a first-time entrepreneur? But every entrepreneur has been first-time. Some has been a first-timer someday, right? So it's okay. Makes no sense. So this is what always excited me. I wanted to have something of my own where I could, and I also had this thing in my mind when I read a hadith somewhere that if you do business the right way, you would be one of the favored people on the day of Qiyamah. So there are very special favors for people who do business and people who are entrepreneurs and not. So there are special favors for them. I did not hear for much for people who are doing jobs, except that you have to be honest, and you have to be dedicated. You have to be sincere to earn halal, to make your income halal. So there are there, but there are more promises of people who do business, and that's the reason Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that tijara is he encouraged that. He himself was a businessman, and it's sunnah to be to do business. So
Yeah.
these were everything in my mind, but I grew up to be trained somebody to do a job. I did a job. I was never good in academics, never, in terms of numbers. But I don't know. These are things that I don't want to boast about. I don't talk about. But I had a I had a nice networking skill all my life. I loved making friends. I loved talking to people. So these were the things that I always had. I never knew how it's going to help me, but I think those things are helping me now to grow my network, to be good to the team and everything else. So this is how things moved on. I did my studies. I did my graduations. I got a job, and this is how.
Is there one vivid memory you have from your childhood when you're growing up that really stands out and you think maybe influences everything else or the person you are today?
No, to be very honest, no such incident or memory from childhood that has influenced me, because I was like any other normal middle class school going child who had schooling, and the next levels of education came by default because this is what your parents chose for you. I never did any choice for myself. So always it was my parents who decided things for me, and I was going by the decisions to such an extent that even when my parents chose my wife for me, I just said yes without even meeting her or looking at her. So I was in Paris when that happened. I just said, okay, if you like it, just go ahead.
Yeah.
And then it happened. So all my school, college, and everything, my studies, what I will study, my engineering, I never took any choice. It was my parents who did that. And even so, I graduated in 2009. My engineering was finished in 2009, and 2009 was the year of global crash, so the year of the Bitcoin, 2009. So that was when I graduated. My university usually boasts of an average of 2 jobs per candidate. So that's the placement record. But because it was what do you call a bad situation over there, and because as I said, I was not good in academics. I was not very good in academics and numbers, getting scores. So I did not get a job. So um, I had to take a leap of faith, pack my bags with my friend. I traveled to Bangalore, stayed there for a month, 1.5 months, and started looking for jobs around. And then finally, I landed my first job. So everything happened like a normal guy's life, nothing extraordinary or nothing especially inspiring. But yes, always I had this thing in mind that I have to do something big in my life, and I want to retire early. Like, for example, I set up my retirement age as 35. Initially, I had in mind as 40, but as time grew on, and especially last year when I started Marhaba, I brought it down to 35. So 35, I have to retire, which is next year. So this is what I want. I don't want to work throughout my life, and I want to work smartly, where I create employment streams for myself and people around me, and at the same time I have time for myself, for my family, where I see my kids grow. I contribute to their development, and yeah, this is what I will do. By retirement, obviously, I don't mean that I will not work anything after that. I'll just stay at home, not like that, but not this kind of work that we are doing right now, like 18, 20 hours of labor a day.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to know, when I was speaking with Ahmed when he came to London, he was telling me, he said, look, I really respect Naquib. He said, if one person I respect is Naquib, and one of the reasons for that is because he's gone through a lot of challenges to get to where Marhaba is today. And he said, for one person to face so many setbacks, it really shows who that person is and the determination they have. So can you just explain a little bit about some of the challenges you faced along the way of getting to where Marhaba is today?
Yes, Marhaba did have a lot of challenges. It's still having a lot of challenges, just like any startups have. I don't want to be a complaining guy. It is, but Alhamdulillah, now when I look back, everything was a lesson well learned. Everything made me grow what I am today. Because as I said, I was a usual 9 to 5 job doing guy. So what made it possible for me to do the right thing? Or because right now Marhaba is a proven success, alhamdulillah. So what made this happen from my first venture itself is because of all those challenges that happened. So I'm thankful for everything that happened in the past, not complaining about it. And the challenges that I faced is, I think, probably any startup faces, because Omar, you are a founder as well. You would have started someday from zero. You got your co-founders, you got your partners who believed in your vision, matched each other's taste, and you guys started getting along. So similar things happened with me as well when Marhaba started. But gradually, what really stayed back was myself. and 2 to 3 other people, including the Sharia team. The Sharia team that we have right now, Dr. Abdullah, Mufti Bilal, Dr. Farooq, they are with me from day one of this journey. Mufti Bilal is the first one whom I had actually reached out to. So Mufti Bilal is, you can say, the after me, he's the second person in the team right now who's there. So this is it. And the struggles that Ahmed is talking about, well, yes, there have been extremely demotivating and disgusting. Yeah, disgusting is the word. Disgusting moments as well when it was easy to quit and I mean just do whatever I was doing, because I was based in Saudi Arabia. I had a very extremely well-paying job, and Saudi Arabia is a place where you earn a lot and you save a lot. You There are other countries as well that pay you well, but you don't tend to save so much at the end of the month. In Saudi Arabia, I was almost saving 80% of my salary, alhamdulillah. So I had no reason to look beyond what I was doing. I was in my comfort zone. So this is like I had a lot of reasons why I would have stopped getting into that struggle and continued with what I was doing, my job and everything. But still, I went on because I knew that that this has to happen. This has to happen, and I can make it done. I am sure that there will be people who will believe in my vision. There will be people who will be able to walk with me. And Alhamdulillah, the team that we have is what has made Marhaba successful. I will never credit the success of Marhaba to myself. Never. It is because of the team that is there. And I'm not trying to be humble. This is the fact. And what I'm today, for example, if people say that I'm a good CEO or I'm a good founder, it's because of what my team has made me. They have trained me to be a good CEO. They have trained me to be a good leader leading them. So it's what the team has made me into. I'm being trained by them.
Yeah.
So I don't want, I mean, as I said, I'm not trying to be humble. Absolutely not. But this is the fact. And it will be a lie if I deny from this and I try to take the credits to myself.
Yeah. But what type of legacy would you like to leave? What would you like people to remember you for? I suppose in particular with Marhaba, what would you like people to remember Marhaba for achieving?
Yeah, so Marhaba is trying to do something that has never been done before. We are trying to be the gateway for Islamic finance to get into the world of blockchain and crypto. Nobody has done it before. There are no references in the past. A lot of people have tried, but they couldn't. So this is what I want to be remembered for myself as well as for the Marhaba, that Marhaba was the first one who did it and they did it well, they succeeded. As I said, because there are no reference in the past, during a journey, we might and we will as well make a lot of mistakes, but that's absolutely normal. But at the same time, we will also be the first one to accept it and correct it whenever we find something like that. So we want to be remembered for the efforts we have put in to get things right and to be a reference point and a starting point and something as an inspiration for all of the projects and all of the efforts that that will come beyond this. I mean, since December, I think I've heard about 4 different initiatives that are being done in the world of Islamic finance and crypto, even from non-Islamic organizations as well. So they are seeing this experiment as a success and they want to try it. So this is exactly what we had wanted, that we become the reference point and the gateway for people to get on to experiment this. People might say, okay, Marhaba is not doing things right, we will do it. But if you would have done it, you would have done it before. Now you are confident that you will do it because you see us doing it well. This is exactly, we don't want to compete against anyone. We want to do things right the way we are doing. This is it. It's always about the intention and the effort. And this, if we are right on these 2 things, then inshallah we'll be successful.
Thank you. And final thing, where is Marhaba in 5 years' time?
Marhaba in 5 years' time is looking into getting into the institutional side. Now we are focusing on retail, but gradually we'll be moving into institutional decentralized finance. This is where our focus would gradually move into wholeheartedly, because if we want to have adoption and if we want to have usability within the community, we have to abide by the laws and regulations that's coming into DeFi. So that means we have to go institution. So this is where we want to go into. My personal target is to value the institutional wing of Marhaba as a unicorn in the 14th month of its operation. So that's my personal target.